in Sacramento starts right now.
Playoff teams, basically 500. Teams below the playoff line currently.
Heart Health Park. There may be some heart palpitations to come. New Mexico and Sacramento are coming up next. And we're happy to have you along for a game that screams potential playoff preview. And Devin, the reality for New Mexico, they've had a fantastic season. Ultimately, the next 4 weeks is about preparing for what lies in store for them, doesn't it?
They can win the West.
A matchup of two Western Conference Goliaths in the California capital tonight. Justin Portillo was the maestro of the New Mexico midfield, now a midseason acquisition, finding his footing for the Republic. While Greg Hurst had a brace 10 days ago against Sacramento that puts New Mexico on the verge of clinching the #1 seed in the West. New Mexico and Sacramento starts right now. Sunday night and the weekend in the USL Championship closes on ESPN as Sacramento Republic sit fourth in the West and welcome New Mexico United, trying to clinch the #1 seed. To do so, they'll have to go to a place few find the full 3 points. It'll be a sellout crowd to watch Danny Vitiello and the Republic take on New Mexico United tonight. These two sides did meet 10 days ago. It was a had-to-have-it game for Sacramento to stay in the running for the #1 seed in the Western Conference in Albuquerque. Abdi Mohammed, the opening goal in the 61st. Greg Hurst, a brace in the 66th. In 74th minutes, late goal from Sebastian Herrera proved academic. New Mexico grabbing firm control for the top seed in the Western Conference, the 3-1 victory. So the Western Conference standings look like this now. Sacramento is slumped into 4th place. Las Vegas, a win over Phoenix last night. Meanwhile, New Mexico clinches the #1 seed with a win. Right now, they're the only team to clinch a playoff spot in the West. And good evening, everyone. Joined by Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand, and we're happy to have you along for a game that screams potential playoff preview. And Devin, the reality for New Mexico, they've had a fantastic season. Ultimately, the next 4 weeks is about preparing for what lies in store for them, doesn't it?
They can win the West for sure, but to me it's about the #1 overall, and here's why. Historically, Mike, this was about points come postseason time, but we've had a change in the playoff structure, so now it is all about seeding. Getting the #1 overall tonight means you are only chasing Louisville down the stretch, and that margin is very narrow to be able to nip them at the line. But New Mexico United's body of work cannot be understated. This team's about total football. They've got good goalkeeping. They can move the ball side to side, one of the best possessionally in the USL Championship, and they've got finishing capability. The conversation for New Mexico United right now is finding what their best group is down the stretch. Eric Quill's got depth, but what's his best 11 come playoff time?
All right, now conversely, this Sacramento Republic team, it feels like they are made for a cup run, and yet, Devin, they haven't beat many teams that they could see in a playoff.
And that cup run is a little bit too familiar in the sense of the 2022 U.S. Open Cup final, what we saw in the Western Conference playoffs now, and they're struggling for form, this Sacramento Republic team. Mark Briggs knows what his group is. The problem is the best football we've seen out of Sacramento Republic was during the Open Cup run this year that saw them make a deep run, but that's in late May. So it's been quite some time. 30, 45, 60-minute performances, as most recently as that first half against New Mexico United. So much so that their body of work tells a very similar tale. Against playoff teams, basically 500. Teams below the playoff line currently, it's not even a conversation. This group knows it though. This group is very well aware of where they sit right now, and they're taking it personal. They want to get into postseason. They feel like they hit that with 2-3 games momentum. They got a shot better than anybody in USL Championship.
There's a statement to be made tonight. Who wears the cape on Marvel Superhero Night? It'll be sold out at Heart Health Park. There may be some heart palpitations to come. New Mexico and Sacramento are coming up next. It's the USL Championship on ESPN. The final game of the weekend. Sacramento hosting New Mexico. Over 11,000 to sell out anticipated here in the California capital. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, a look at the starting lineup for Sacramento. Change up front. In the back, Goalkeeper is out on a red card. Donovan in, Herrera as well.
Let's see how quick they want to distribute tonight. You would imagine that New Mexico United is going to be pretty dense in nature, and this team wants to open things up in transition. Justin Portillo has been clean on the ball, but they have to find a way to quickly bridge that gap onto the front line. Sebastian Herrera, people are going to look and go, oh, Kieran Phillips is in good form. Sebastian Herrera has been playing lights out, training lights out, and earned his spot in the 9 tonight for Mark Briggs & Co. New Mexico United, Eric Quill, a couple of changes, but rotation was everything for this team. Marco Micheletto unavailable. They're resting his knees, got a little bit of a knock, so it's preventative in nature. This team is all about ball distribution. They want to unbalance you, that tight-knit nature that makes you think and make you uncomfortable about the game. Speed on the outside. Gloucester has had a very nice season. I'd like to see a couple of more statistical aptitudes from him, but Greg Hurst in the 9, it's about his pressure on the back three, opening up space underneath for trailing support.
New Mexico making 5 changes in their starting 11 from a 1-0 win at home against Loudoun that put them on the precipice tonight of winning the #1 seed in the Western Conference. Brandon Stevis is the referee, gets us started, and Sacramento hosting New Mexico on this Sunday night. Rolled forward by Gurr. Timmer. Cicerone. Injury knocked him out better part of half the season, but Cicerone back and finding his way again. Cobo Reyes wins the free kick. Well, Devin, this New Mexico team isn't the flashiest. The Sacramento group started so strong, and here's New Mexico on the cusp after so many years of contention from being the top dog in the Western Conference. Sacramento walks it forward through Ross. Just signed an extension, now Gurr. Timmer early, seeking Herrera. Rolled up by Desmond, who captains the side with Rodrigo Lopez out with a knee injury suffered in late spring.
And to your point though, Mike, the days of yore, lightning in a bottle, Santi Moar, Kavan Frater, right? The times where these New Mexico United teams were so quick in transition and really produced jaw-dropping plays in the final third. Eventually, the law of averages played out to where they weren't where they wanted to be in the table. They weren't consistent enough away from home, but that's not the case this season, where you've got the 4th best home record represented by New Mexico United at Isotopes Park in the Lab, and they're tied for the 3rd best road record in the league. There's such a consistent nature about them, and it's because of Eric Quill's style, allowing them have the ball, keep the ball, making teams chase, but also the patience on the defensive side that, to me, is probably the most impressive thing, is the development there, that they don't overstep themselves in nature and allow them to have success in numbers.
Driving through Cicerone, continuing to force the issue, and Alex Tambakis, who just returned from concussion protocol, collects the ball, and Cicerone, pleading his innocence, got run into the keeper by Talon Maples.
Right on cue, though, a very uncharacteristic turnover within the midfield. It's not often that we see them dispossessed in that fashion. Well done by Talon Maples.
Tambakis drives it away. Man for about half a decade for New Mexico. Gurr barrel rolls out. You think Sacramento forgot about the game 10 days ago, the 3-1 New Mexico win that we highlighted pregame?
You certainly want them to forget about the second half. The first half, they were brilliant. Lights out, very clean on the ball. Moments like this where it's A to B to C, as quick as humanly possible, effective.
Gurr, as Sacramento off on the front foot to start the night. Chris Gloucester intervenes. Do you agree with the sentiment from Eric Quill, the head coach for New Mexico, that the first half wasn't a tactical issue for them, but rather a motivational issue?
100%, right? Kind of a, let's walk into the dressing room and maybe light a fire, if you will, politely put.
Called it a cooler kicking talk.
I'm sure it was more of a throwing rapidly across the dressing room.
Portillo, last 2 years in New Mexico, started the year in Tulsa. Cross headed down, launched by Hurst. Bailey chasing, Vidiello by Hurst. There's Ross. He acknowledged you don't get many cooler kicking talks before the well runs dry, but utilized one there, and quite the response from New Mexico and Albuquerque. Game was 0-0 at halftime, and New Mexico bagged 3 goals in about 13 minutes right after the hour mark. Sacramento got a late one in stoppage time, but it was immaterial to the final result. And New Mexico, with that, pulled away from the rest of the Western Conference. Win tonight assures them the #1 seed. And with that, the only way they would go on the road in the final would be if they had to go to Louisville, unless Louisville were to substantially stumble down the stretch and dropped the bag. It looks like Louisville is about to get, somehow, their first ever Players' Shield. Run down into the corner. It will be a corner for Sacramento. Fine start through 5. Corner swung inward, header down, comes off of Cicerone and goes over the line. Luis Felipe knocks it back in front. Cicerone redirects it in, and the Republic have the lead.
We discussed how clean Justin Portillo has been within the midfield, but lest we forget, this is one of the best set-piece specialists when it comes to distribution into the box in the championship. Just poor marking on the back post, lost in translation. Love the little spin-off here by Cicerone, who actually runs a little bit of a screen that allows Luis Felipe on the backside. And it's a mismatch. 6'1", 5'5". Jacobo Reyes against Luis Felipe. He's gonna win that battle any single time he's given the opportunity. That's the start Sacramento Republic have been looking for.
Harry Swartz. That's a surprise inclusion for New Mexico. He was not listed in the starting 11 submitted pregame, so someone's gone down injured. But number 33 for New Mexico is playing it right back. Short corner, give and go. Contact in the penalty area. There's Sanchez. In fact, did get over the line. Sanchez did so cleanly. Numbers are good this year. Sacramento, for the 18th time, score first. Only one loss all season from that position. Gloucester, Reyes, and now Gurr takes it. There's a little frustration there from Jacobo Reyes. Exchanging pleasantries. I imagine he and Jared Timmer will become fast friends tonight. Vidiello. Flicked over Cicerone, who bags the opening goals, 5th of the season in the 6th minute. Gloucester. Luis Felipe got a touch. Well, it's New Mexico. I do feel like even recent defeats, they've been the better team. New Mexico would like to put teams to the sword more consistently down the stretch. Devin, ultimately, they've used a different lineup in every single game this year. They haven't gone the same 11 back-to-back. Some of that injury, no doubt.
Yeah.
Some of that getting everyone a chance, allowing everyone to feel a part of it, and now these last 5 games, can you find the 11 you want to run with through November?
Certainly the deepest team they've been able to put together in terms of overall quality since their inception of the league in 2019. Now you're right, though. It is about finding who exactly is going to be the group to take you to Titletown if they're able to complete that conversation. I would say that he's probably in the range of 13 to 15 players for my money. Maybe a little bit slimmer than that, but it speaks to the testament of depth that they've been able to get. But also, every team that we've seen, push comes to shove, that group gets thinner and thinner when it comes to playoff time. And most managers ride the hot hand. They stick with the same group when they reach postseason play.
Gurr won the corner, and Portillo will take it. Portillo, high arcing backstat header. Timmer chases. Lofts back in, kept away from Cicerone. And the electric Jack Gurr chases it down. Portillo. Overcooked, here's Tambakis. Gloucester. Somewhat dangerous square ball. Cicerone sniffed it out. Picked off by Donovan. And a throw for New Mexico. Sacramento's head coach is Mark Briggs. 3rd coach in league history to get to the 100-win plateau. His 5th season with Sacramento, previously led Real Monarchs, arrived as the academy director. In short order, took over as the manager for the group, and Dev, you can be assured, plenty of openings in MLS that'll have him in mind. This comes centrally, nearly through for Reyes. Gloucester bounced down the line. Hosu, Akale, Callum Naples. You've been rather impressed by Naples this season?
To me, it's just his quality on the ball, especially with the way that Eric Quill wants to play. We said that they want to keep the ball, they want to move you and unbalance you, and that means you need center backs that possessionally are capable of carrying the ball under pressure, but also have the ability to stretch the game. We've seen that from Kalen Wright in the pass off his left foot, his control of the back line, but hasn't necessarily had that consistent counterpart. I feel like they've really done well for themselves in the acquisition of Talon Maples and what he brings to the game on that right side of the back line.
Hosu wins the free kick for New Mexico. 23-year-old Ivorian. There's Maples. Actually trialed at North Texas when Eric Quill was there. Ultimately, FC Dallas chose not to sign him. Stayed on the radar, though. Maples has made quite the impact after a couple of years in Houston. Kale. Hosu. Over Hurst.
Mike, familiarity is everything for Eric Quill. Certainly the scouting in the past for Talon Maples and the understanding of what his skill set is, but also the fact that he's an SMU guy. That's a Kevin Hudson product who plays a very similar way. He wants players at the collegiate level for SMU to have the ball at their feet, to learn patience, to learn balance, but also specific moments of when to play the game quickly. And that's why they've done such a good job of, yes, Talon Maples, but also Husu within the midfield, right? You go and get a Chris Gloucester in his type of background. All of these guys have specific profiles that they are good enough to be on the ball on a regular basis, but also quick-witted in nature when it matters most, which is why they've been able to move up the ranks to the #1 in the Western Conference.
Desmond the foul. New extension for him through 2025. Sue dealing with immense pressure from Felipe. Rivas. Through first to the target, as was there as well. What do you think of the superhero cape jersey for the goalkeeper tonight?
I'm here for it. You know what the color scheme and the way that it sits on the jersey reminds me of? Some of the old school Cruz Azul jerseys.
Okay.
I'm here for it though. I would love to go right onto the field and snatch it right out of Denny Villayola's hands. Number one, he would never give it to me, recognizing that I don't have the guts to go stand and goal in the goalkeeper jersey, and obviously it's for a greater good. I want to make sure that makes its way to the appropriate person.
Custom jersey designed to drive awareness and funds for childhood cancer patients and their families. In concert with UC Davis. Olet Cicerone returns to Gurr. Ooh, careful under the tents. Sue got a deflection, corner for Sacramento.
Done a really good job early on about the rapidity of play. Relationship on the right-hand side between Jecker and Russell Cicerone. This is go time for Russell Cicerone, recognizing that the injury that kept him out for such an extended period of time, been back 4 weeks now. Sort of like a preseason, Mike. You could almost consider this his real first game back, considering the periodization that he's gone through.
Portillo opening for Timmer. Laces that back the other way.
Understand for Russell Cicerone, this is still a guy at the beginning of 2023 that you and I, if you recall, quickly and briefly, were discussing the prospect of an MVP conversation. Start of 2023, 12 games, 9 goals, 2 assists to start the season. Then picked up a couple of knocks, fell a little bit cold. This is the player that Sebastian Herrera, Kieran Phillips, absolutely, the quality that Nick Ross has brought, but that's the separating point to complete the triumvirate on the front line that could really send Sac into orbit.
Cicerone 17 goals in totality last year, to your point, after 9 in the first 12. 17 in 37 by the time it was done. Not everyone can be on a Nick Marcanic pace, huh? New single season record holder in Charleston. To be fair, he had his doubters, primarily me. Up to 26 a week ago with a brace.
I have no problem throwing my name in there and saying I was wrong. Didn't doubt his goal scoring capability, just
26 is a lot.
Doubted the fact that he was dropping hat tricks in his sleep.
Dembakis. Just launched ahead. Akale on the run. As Hurst running centrally. Akale plays this along for Reyes.
This is just really good recovery defending by Sacramento Republic. Good breakdown by New Mexico United. Recognize that as quickly as it comes, and notice where the ball comes from, Mike Talon Maples. There's that distribution I was talking about, but he has to slow here. Akale, he recognizes there's no support the minute that he finds the tiniest of seams. Here comes Jack Gert. It's a beautiful cutback, to be fair, but just the understanding of where the threat is coming from, and very difficult for Jack Gert, I might add, coming over the left shoulder, stopping at full speed, and then stepping into the penalty mark.
And the painful outcome. Intervene on that too. Gert is built like a brick house. Oh, finding Ross. He's had a tremendous campaign. He's got Gert to his right. Ross, Gert, angle tight. Ross in front. Oh wow, Tambakis. Step back in for Sacramento and denial of a second goal for the Republic. Wow. Rivas slips upfield to Akale, now Rivas, and now New Mexico trying to settle through pressure, immense pressure. Felipe gets in, and now New Mexico gets it out to the halfway line. Sacramento, what a chance. And a push from behind and a free kick to the Republic. Let's go back to what seemed like a tap-in for a moment.
To be fair, this should have been played a touch sooner. Great job by Herrera to get this through. Nick Ross does a really good job of holding the run. The problem is he takes too many touches, eliminates the angle for Jack Gert, who incredibly gets it back across. How, oh how, on this second ball, it looks like it's a combination of both Alex Tambakis and Talon Maples on the recovery. Gives you a real good look at why Tambakis is second all-time in shutouts. Leads the league in saves historically, but the relationship that he has with his back line on what most assuredly have been the second on the night for Sac.
It looked like Maples was the one who did, in fact, get it off the line. Ball hammered across, Sacramento gets it. Sends it forward again, Felipe, and that header askew by a tight margin for Herrera. He's going to get his chance here. Only his fourth start of the year. He's dealt with a number of injuries in his short time in Sacramento. He might be the guy.
They're doing a really good job of isolating the differentiation and height on that back line, Mike. You know, the bigger bodies, guys like a Kalen Ryden, right? The ability to rotate back over there, even an Abdi Mohammed, or allow Alex Tambakis to come off the line. They're creating mismatches, which is then getting Luis Felipe higher, allowing him to get the first or even second ball cut back across. Just open themselves up a tad bit too much in the opening 24 minutes here. It was a fear that Eric Quill had. He said, we want to tighten ourselves, right? We want to stay narrow. We want to make them play, meaning put the ball on the deck. More passes and in a smaller amount of space. But unfortunately for them right now, due to the intensity and how quick they're moving from each pivot point, Sacramento Republic in moments like this have done a really good job of operating space on the width and then creating options centrally in the final third.
Gert, Timmer. Timmer slides by Reyes. Back out to Gert. Puts it on his left. Herrera settling, leans back. Goal! Luis Felipe. It's dreamland for Sacramento against the #1 team in the West.
Just pace of play right now for the Quails. And oh so good at being effective doing so. What a recognition of the pressure for Jared Timmer. Quick little touch back to the inside, and give credit to Jack Gert. He wants this on his right foot, but understands there's about a 7-yard gap inside the top of the 18 that allows Herrera to step into, hold up, and then allow the trailing runs of what have been so frequent for Luis Felipe. The past 3 trips down into the top of the 18, they've gone vertical. Luis Felipe this time, the decoy, sits underneath Herrera, allows him to do all the dirty work, sits idly by, and doubles the lead for Sac 26 minutes in.
A big smile for Luis Felipe. That tremendous goal-scoring touch last year. That's his first of the season after he bagged 7 in the league last year. Always seems to score against the very best. He did it in the Open Cup, a stunner against LA Galaxy in the quarterfinal in 2022. Late playoff goals in the championship in recent years. And New Mexico has to be befuddled. They have lost in the playoffs in the quarterfinals back-to-back seasons in Sacramento. And again, that hex exists here in the California capital. Here's Portillo, who's on the losing end of both those conference quarterfinals with New Mexico against Sacramento. Now wears the Quails primary 43 tonight. Sacramento not satisfied. Sanchez did spring the cross, or got out. Dev, the reality for Sacramento is we knew the entire year they were capable of exactly this.
Well, agreed. There's a harsh reality to that, though. What you're seeing right now, we have seen. We've seen it recently. We haven't seen it in its entirety. And that's the conversation about this team right now. Yes, it's 2-0. Yes, it's flying. But can they keep up this tempo, and certainly against the quality of form that has been the best team in the Western Conference, at least up until this point, and what you would think would be the #1 overall come playoff time. We've referenced the opening 45 minutes against Sacramento Republic just a week and a half ago. How good they were in that match. Sac to start it, but they couldn't finish it off. We saw it against Louisville. We saw it against the Charleston Battery. All 3 of those games, you saw glimpses of a team that certainly has title aspirations. What we never saw was the ability to close out that conversation, and losses in all 3 matches.
The yellow circulates, 28th minute, Sacramento 2 goals ahead. Yellow. Away from Herrera. It's Herrera whistled for the foul. Halen Ryden, ride or die for New Mexico from the beginning. Just to effort this back in play. Hurst. Timmer. Ryden. There's Rivas. Asu swiped away by Luis Felipe. Cicerone. And he wins a free kick. Naples taking out his right ankle.
6 fouls now, not 1 yellow card. The last one is consistency.
You can hear Mark Briggs saying that's 6 fouls and no yellows.
I would also go a step further, and while it's certainly the level of consistency that Mark Briggs, the manager of Sac, is looking for, it's also he's worried about Russell Cicerone, whose ankle injuries have been the issue over the last year and a half, right? This is a guy who, early on this season, start to the year, we thought, okay, finally he's got a striking partnership, but in about a 10-day stretch, Sebastian Herrera picked up an injury. Roro Lopez was lost in the round of 16 game, and Russell Cicerone departed to surgery.
Felipe off the crossbar, and now snared away. Tambakis trying to deal with another Felipe incursion. He scored a goal from the top of the box. He had the header that led to the Cicerone goal.
It's just not a tight enough mark here. It's that simple. This is on Keelan Ryden right now and Alex Tambakis. They got to get a hold of these individual matchups as the ball's being swung in. Much too much separation as this is being floated, and it looks like that mark was Sergio Rivas. And it's a clever little pinch by Luis Felipe for sure, but given what we've seen in the opening 30 minutes, no reason that there's that much of a gap 8 yards and in.
Felipe's the wrong guy to leave open. Portillo. Vidiello. Lead home behind Gloucester. Was confirmed to us Zico Bailey unavailable after being listed as a starter pregame due to an injury in warm-up. So Harry Swartz on in his stead. You could say essentially from the beginning, New Mexico probably felt a bit of a curse on them tonight. And now 2 goals behind, Cicerone in the 6th and Felipe in the 25th. Theory, New Mexico will be the 1 seed. It would take essentially losing out on one of the 3 teams sitting 2nd through 4th, Colorado Springs, Las Vegas, or Sacramento, 1 out. New Mexico to drop the #1 spot. If the Republic win this game, they'll spring into 2nd place from 4th.
Numbers underneath right now for Mexico United. Usu and Rivas having trouble given as advanced as Luis Felipe is, so most of this on the outside. That's better.
Hurst to brace last time these teams met 10 days ago. He leads it back, Swartz. Trailing, flick back, Rivas. Rivas all the way through. Vidiello, and now cleared. He's earned his cape. Big diagonal, Gurr knocks it down, Vidiello settles.
You take a win here if you're New Mexico United, and where I was just going with that conversation, Mike, was their midfield unfortunately has been eliminated at this point in time, at least deep lying. They can't control it. So as you work direct into the outsides, you have to stretch Sack, but then immediately have a quick step up, and that's on the relationship up top with Greg Hurst. Great diagonal run in behind. Not only does he open up space for himself, but he drags the aforementioned from Sack to allow Sergio Rivas to step up through and make a solid one-on-one play.
Portillo grappling with Akale. Given away, that's awkward. Akale. Free kick, New Mexico, and a yellow card, which will leave the Republic bench incensed. Akale grabbed by Portillo. Free kick for New Mexico United in a really decent spot.
The thing about it is, though, is that it's not just the grab. There is also contact by Luis Felipe, and recognize the space atop the 18 that's available to Akale in the 10 position. They had Connor Donovan on the retreat. He was very deep there, so if there's no contact at all, you have to imagine for Akale, there's a good opportunity to go to goal.
The question you will see go for goal now, as Hurst is over the ball and certainly has a nose for these moments. Or you could go with Akale. Hurst, 11 goals on the campaign, and if the old adage is right, Akale being the last to touch this is notable.
If Danny Vidiello stays where he's at, you got to let the left footer have a go. it's more difficult for Hurst to get it up and down here, and he's got the sun in his eyes.
He does. It is Akale! Vidiello got there.
It is the right decision here to let Akale have a go. Again, for the left footer, he can get it around the wall and then let it drop, and you force Danny Vidiello to come back into the sun. Credit on the save, though, for Danny Vidiello. And understanding why, with 100 appearances at least in USL Championship history, he's got the best goals per against average. Excellent save into the sun.
Kale doing there. Sunset is still another 30 minutes away. So by the time Tembakis gets down to that end, he won't have that issue. 36th minute, there's Eric Quill, League One champion, won the double, the regular season and the postseason crown in 2019. Took over midway through last year. First is Troy Lesane, now the coach at DC United. Zach Prince, his lead assistant, took over the job, eventually joined Lesane at New York Red Bulls last year, eventually following him to DC United. And Quill's come in and established a different style of play and a winning mentality. As good as New Mexico were over the years, always competitive. A lot of players that wanted to be there continued to stick around. Eric Quill has this team in the best form of its young existence. Didn't deal with that well enough. Gurr offering backside. Cicerone chasing it down. Danger still.
He said, I hear you. I hear you.
Timmer. Portillo. Smashed back toward Ross. Settles. Cicerone went for goal. Pinballs around, appeal for a handball, play on. The referee instantly says Ryden was simply protecting his own self. And now a yellow to Timmer. Lashes out at Brandon Stevis, the referee. There is no VAR in the championship, so whatever conjecture we have about is or is not a handball is irrelevant.
Really well done here by Kalen Ryden. I talked about the recovery defending for Sacramento Republic. Twice he made himself big. There was one, he was on the back side of that actually, that allowed Sacramento Republic to then work themselves out.
So Timmer booked.
All Sacramento.
All out of play. Watch the USL Championship in Spanish on TUDN, nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Select matches, including the championship final, available in Spanish throughout the rest of the season. Go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Seat was sold tonight. 3 straight sellouts at Heart Health Park in Sacramento. It's 11,569. Gloucester. Rivas. 12th start of the year. Swartz. They clear the chalk.
Let's go back a second ago to what we were alluding to with Kalen Ryden. the golden helmet, coined in 2019 in his run with the Monarchs. The clearance is a difficult one. You want him to bring that towards the sideline, but it felt like he had support, but immediately recognized the mistake, and really well done by the captain to reassure his position centrally to remove the second attack.
Good numbers here for Akale. Slides right, Reyes, swing and a miss. And the Tower Bridge Battalion loves that. It's a DJ with vicious side zone. Take a look at the hobble here as well.
Ooh, just caught it on the toe. Yep. So the past couple of minutes, though, excellent response by New Mexico United. The best of form there from Reyes, but to be fair, last 7-8 minutes, notice their line of confrontation much higher, more aggressive, more numbers. And the switch too, Reyes to the right side, Harry Schwartz to the near touchline. Better relationship between he and Glasser. Just have to be careful, both widths, the wings, Mike, aren't getting too narrow. That's where they really struggled early on.
If this is a foul, you'd have to wonder how much longer Cicerone can get targeted without a card. If not, simply a throw, but it's yet another tough fall for Cicerone.
That's a foul for me.
Neither did the referee.
Both players tussling, right? Hands up. Both guilty.
Gurr. Zimmer. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, plus live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. It's all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. And the game schedule includes this game tonight, Sacramento, New Mexico on Sirius XM FC. 43rd minute, and a goal kick for New Mexico, trailing by 2. Sacramento, a couple of goals on .76 expected. 4 times the XG of New Mexico through 42 minutes. Cicerone in the 6th, Felipe in the 25th. I guess, Devin, you could argue that the difference between this game and the one 10 days ago is Sacramento played this well in the first half and went in scoreless.
Yeah, went scoreless for sure. And that's been really the past couple of matches for them. Second half of the season. Ironically, the numbers in terms of points, the balance is actually quite similar. Their plus minus is only 2 points, first 14 compared to last 14. This is a team that unfortunately suffered with just not getting themselves over the line early on, and you think, wait a second, how is that possible? They're tied for the longest unbeaten streak this season with 11 games. The problem is there was only 6 wins. They were 6-0-5 to start the year. The Charleston Battery also went 11 games unbeaten this season.
And in all that, we gave them as much praise as they deserved, but it was Louisville and New Mexico in each conference that ended up running away with things. Naples. Turned over to Felipe. Passing Herrera, Cicerone, Gloucester. Back outside to Gurr, but offside. Is it a cooler kicking halftime speech coming from New Mexico in your mind?
I don't really think it's level of intensity right now. They're certainly getting outplayed, but for me, it's a tactical understanding for your wings that Reyes and Schwartz, they've struggled in transitional moments because of the way that they play. They like to get narrow. They want to create multiple bodies around the ball, but as they start to work, the turnovers where they've been on the pitch, they haven't retreated quick enough, and so the outside backs are left standing there. Yes, they could certainly be playing quicker, but they have created a little bit. To me, it's just about the width.
Here is Gloucester, plays early for Akale. Offside flag up the other way. As we approach the first of 3 minutes elapsing in first half stoppage time.
Then again, it never hurts to reiterate some of the thoughts by Eric Quill coming into this match, in that they're treating it like a final, right? The opportunity to secure the #1 in the Western Conference, to maintain pace with, albeit a difficult chase down the stretch, but with Louisville City and the possibility of ruining their dream of the #1 overall. Again, that is a very slim possibility given the separation in points, but also the reestablishment of the dominance that is the Lab at Isotopes Park and how difficult it is to play there. You want everybody to have to come to your home venue in postseason play. You continue to run the risk by every single action within this match because you don't want it to be a pattern. Still 45 minutes here. This team has plenty of talent to get back into it, but they're frustrated, they're emotional, and that needs to be calmed at halftime by Eric Quill.
Ryden shown yellow, demolishing Herrera at the edge of the penalty area. This contact started way outside the 18 and never stopped. Third yellow for Ryden in 12 appearances, 9 starts. He's the preferred starting center back alongside Maples, though Seymour and Herbert have filled the role throughout the year. Portillo looking into the final remnants of the sun covering the field at the end of the first half. Portillo whips it in. Cicerone, that's blocked. Ross, still Felipe chasing. There's Reyes. Room for Rivas to run. Portillo stemmed him off, out to Akale. Akale with a deflection, Schwartz knocked away by Viniello. Oh, he got there again on Rivas. He turned away Hurst, then Rivas. What a moment from Sacramento's superhero of the goalkeeper.
That's twice from Akale that the initial decision isn't made and he's able to pull something out of nothing, even off the deflection here. Look at the bodies they've got. Greg Hurst doesn't see that it's coming off Harry Schwartz. And then it's just recovered for one of the all-time USL Championship great goalkeepers here. If that goal comes back square sooner, United have another goal. It's twice in this first half. They've had a real good look, aren't able to get it there, still pull a rabbit out of the hat, but the ultimate magician and show of this first half, outside of the 2 goals early on, Danny Viniello in goal for Sacramento Republic.
Cicerone scored in the 6th. Felipe a goal and an assist in the first half. And Sacramento Republic has given this sellout crowd a lot to celebrate. The final game of September with the playoff chase heating up. A 2-goal lead. Sacramento for the moment sit in the 2 seat. Halftime coming up. USL on ESPN end of September, and Sacramento, the 4 seed coming in, could move all the way up to second, a 2-0 lead over the top New Mexico United side in the West. In partnership with UC Davis Health, Sacramento Republic players Jonathan Ricketts, Jared Mazzola, and Justin Portillo, along with Marvel's Spider-Man staff, stopped by the Cancer Center to celebrate the true superheroes, kids impacted by childhood cancer.
We're at the UC Davis Cancer Center hanging out with some kids. Brought a bunch of Marvel stuff. Spider-Man's here. It's nice that we can be there for them.
Jared, nice to meet you. Is this your brother?
I'm sure they watch the superheroes on TV and stuff like that. So to see them in person kind of gives them motivation to keep pushing forward.
Superheroes are just something that kids can look up to for their resilience, their strength. Giving them a friend in the moment is a big deal for them and also for us as players.
You know, superheroes are just normal people at the end of the day. Every single person in UC Davis Hospital getting to do the hard work with their boots on the ground every single day, it makes me emotional because it's such a difficult job.
What we do is easy, and it makes you appreciate it, makes you grateful for every day that we do have.
Oh, you can see it? It's important to be here for me because this is a topic that has been super prevalent in my life since I was a little kid. Growing up, one of my best friends actually had brain cancer, and both my parents had cancer.
Yellow?
I hope the kids take away that there is hope to continue to push and know that there's brighter days ahead. If you can make someone smile, if Spider-Man can make someone laugh, we can just have a great time together. It deafens the pain for just like small moments.
We have any more goals?
It brings me joy and it brings me hope that we're gonna be there for each other.
Truly beautiful. Of course, UC Davis Health and Republic FC have made this a familiar scene. Strive for 45 every home game. Kids 5 to 14 years old make that run. More halftime coming up. Just the goals.
First highlights goal.
They're all goals. It's only goals. Back in Sacramento, where the Republic have a 2-0 advantage over New Mexico United. It was a big one in the Western Conference, and the Republic are up to the task here tonight. Come back in, everybody, with Devin Kerr, Mike Watson. Devin, if you're New Mexico, for the team that's been as consistent as anybody in the West, nearly anybody in the league, that was a little surprising, wasn't it?
You know, I talked about the wings in the first half and a lack of balance and representation there. I would also say energy, but not in the sense of not enough within the game. Trying to be too cute, trying to play too much New Mexico United soccer, almost fight fire with fire in this situation when they get opened up and start to come the other direction. Because if we take a look at the first goal for Sacramento Republic, this was all about transitional moments for them and allowing them to open the game up. Yes, it comes on the rotation to the back post, but this corner comes from a long ball down into the channel to create separation. They get a bounce off, they get a set piece. This goal is given to Russell Cicerone, but all the credit has to go to Portillo on the beautiful ball and Luis Felipe, who creates the opening goal.
That comes in just the 6th minute of play. Sacramento would double their money in the 25th.
Again, channel work, Jecker. The scouting report tells you 99.9% of the time he's going to work this thing back to his right foot, get deep onto the byline and cut back, but he recognizes the isolation right in front of the back line and also the space that's the most important. Creates the drop down into Luis Felipe and buries it into the bottom corner. Cruise control for about 35 minutes of play. I want to give a little bit of credit here to New Mexico United. Thought they did a good job working back in, and that goes back to my point, Mike. It was energy. They started to throw punches, and they moved the pressure line up so that when there were turnovers, Sacramento Republic had to work the entirety of the field instead of the 40, 50 yards we saw the majority of the first half.
So a fairly statistically even game, but not in the way it matters. As good as Sacramento was finding their 2 goals, Danny Vitiello keeping New Mexico at bay. A heroic performance from one of the league's all-time greats. Republic a 2-0 lead. The second half is coming up next. A goal and an assist for Luis Felipe in the opening half. Cicerone in the 6th, Felipe in the 25th, and the Republic off to a 2-0 start against New Mexico United. It was a tale of two halves when these teams last met on the 18th of September. Will it be again? New Mexico comes out of the locker room aware that a win at any point down the stretch in their final 5 games will assure them the #1 seed, and yet their focus now is turned to putting the best performances on the field, an acknowledgement that ultimately the playoffs is their end game. Sacramento trying to hold on to the #2 seed. A win here would put them in position with 3 teams fighting tooth and nail right behind them. On to the second half we go. New Mexico gets the first touch, and the final half of soccer in the championship this weekend from Heart Health Park in Sacramento. Sacramento in the primary reds, New Mexico in the yellow tonight. There's Sanchez efforts to win it back for the Republic. A couple losses in a row. Showed pregame that Sacramento had lost 4 of their last 5 against teams currently above the playoff line in the East and the West. The reality is all 4 of those defeats were against teams that they played on the road: Louisville, Charleston, New Mexico, and Las Vegas. They've got the home cooking tonight. Reyes, Akale, spots the run of Hosu. There's Connor Donovan. The hold-up from Herrera is illicit. And a chance for us to tell you Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com. Latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Whistle goes here. Abdi Muhammad for New Mexico down. Sacramento defender down as well.
An immediate shot from the sideline for a Trainer, given the contact. There it is here. Hoping that that's not the head-to-head that looks like it could have been for both players.
And the contact on Muhammad makes you think that it took a pretty significant knock to the leg as well. There's the New Mexico reserves. Notably, they're 1 light now on the bench. They've got Vargas, Bruce, Seymour, Hernandez, and Herbert. Zico Bailey, late scratch tonight. Desmond is back up. It's the Sacramento bench, including the 2 USL Academy signings. Players signed to Academy deals are able to suit up as the 19th and 20th player in home games.
We need a sub right here.
To provide additional opportunity to young players.
Certainly a head-to-head, and then the leg of Muhammad on the back side of things was actually more concerned initially by what was the head-to-head contact. The worst for the wearer is actually on that right side of his body. And a change to be made with Nicky Hernandez's inclusion into this match 49 minutes in. Again, it's not the worst thing that you've got Nicky Hernandez coming off the bench. Obviously, never want to have to make the change due to this type of circumstance.
You know, the craziest stat, one of the craziest stats I've come across in the league this year is the fact that Abdi Muhammad has played in a final 4 years running. Twice in Greenville, won the title in 21, twice in Columbus with their second team in MLS Next Pro. The guy is a certified winner. And the way he's being carried now, you desperately hope that he'll have a chance at making a run to a 5th final. It's far more than a spectator. Really important piece for New Mexico over the second half of the season. And Nicky Hernandez will come off the bench in his stead. Hernandez got his professional start under Eric Quill coming out of SMU. A couple of years in North Texas, a couple of years in San Antonio. Signed in New Mexico in July of last year. All lashed across. And Ryden in the mix. Hosu. Here's Swartz. Back heel didn't play. Swartz came in before the commencement of the game, so that's the first window, first sub for New Mexico, although we've talked about the fact they had to make that late change after an injury in warm-ups to Zico Bailey.
Also understand that this is going to affect 3 different areas on the field. Harry Swartz will come deeper onto that right flank, occupy Mohamed's position. Akale should come a little bit wider, which will free up Nicky Hernandez in that 10 spot. They got to find a way to start to create more movement out of Greg Hurst. As you see him drop in, he, Sergio Rivas, and Nicky Hernandez need to start to be that triangulation in the midfield for New Mexico United. Energy was one thing, certainly a presence on the width, but didn't have enough pressure up top against this back line. Anything they created in the opening 45 minutes came off of dynamic movement from Greg Hurst in the 9 spot.
For Alder Sanchez, signed in the open tryout in 2022, and just has continued to get better and better. Cicerone flies ahead, bypasses Ryden, finds Gurr, trailing Gurr, ball deflects toward the line. Tambakis scrambles back to hold on, although that may have been off the target in the end. Back through Tambakis. It's Atlanta United's first ever signing. Greek under-19 goalkeeper. Carolina and Charleston. Been the guy in New Mexico, and he was the one who had to scramble back on a net mouth deflection.
I was just talking about the movement on the front line for New Mexico United. Greg Hurst, what they needed. Watch Herrera as he drops into the pocket there. Traps both Harry Swartz and Talon Maples with him. And although Ryden does a really good job of closing down space, this is that domino effect that I've talked about in the past, Mike, for teams where it's a reaction to the next one and the next one, and positionally everybody starts to get pulled out, excuse me. Get the separation on the back post eventually, but it's all about that initial movement by Herrera, feeling comfortable with the pressure in the 9.
Tio was calling for it. He merely cleared out space for Ross. Hold up, Herrera! Good save, Sanchez roots it! And Sacramento's got 3! Sacramento has waited months and months for a performance quite like this. 3-0 up on the #1 team in the West.
Gave Herrera credit. Now watch Nick Ross do the dirty work as he comes in. That hesitation right there. You get the ability of the back line to bite and comes a little bit higher. The problem in all of this, though, isn't the defending. It isn't the marking. Yes, Herrera gets one off. You need help here for Alex Tambakis. Much too much time on the back post off the deflection by the goalkeeper. He does everything he can in disbelief. What do I have to do to get a little bit of support here? Excellent save. But the follow-up by Aldair Sanchez to create the third on the night for Sacramento Republic. Intensity and confirmation for Aldair Sanchez at that start there tonight. He and Damia Villadere has been battling back and forth over the season.
And Sanchez's spidey sense was tingling. 3-0 Sacramento. And this is the Republic that won the Western Conference regular season crown a year ago. Reached the Open Cup final 2 years ago in Orlando. Congratulations to you, by the way, on the Open Cup call earlier this week in Los Angeles. As we all know, Olivier Giroud's waiting his whole career to score in that final.
Is that this week?
It feels like it was months ago, doesn't it? LAFC America's Cup. Champions on Wednesday night.
Certainly a fun journey for sure. Something that Sacramento Republic fans will remember. Their run to the 2022 Open Cup, falling just short in the final to Orlando City. New Mexico United, their inaugural year, their inaugural Open Cup run, quarterfinalists, 2019.
Ended their run in Minnesota. These are the darlings of the championship as it comes to the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Who seemingly can do no wrong tonight. Ball and an assist, and yet the referee has taken him to task now a couple of times. Sue. Not enough on that, back through Maples. eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball free to play, so download now. Dev, if you're playing eFootball right now, there's a month left in the season. Who would you most want to pick to carry you into the playoffs? Try and win a championship this year in USL. As Herrera down again.
We're going team specific or player?
Team. You can build your own team, but
yeah, I'm a pretty big fan of Colorado Springs right now.
They've had, and look, they were the worst team, very close to it, through what, 7-8 games? And some of that bad run of results.
In terms of win-loss draw and statistics, yes.
Right.
If you like those types of things.
Right. Performance is better than the results,
yes.
But you had to think there were some alarm bells going off. And Chambo and Evie Hogan and...
Just about to say, I'm pretty sure those alarm bells were 5 a.m. wake-up calls by James Chambers to get it together.
Head coach.
Let's go 2-a-days 6 weeks into the season after preseason.
They've done very well. Kieran Phillips waiting to come in, and Herrera remains down. And Dev, this is probably the most intriguing decision that Mark Briggs has to make at the moment. Now, you mentioned outside back. There's a platitude, a multitude, I suppose, of options. But whether you go with Phillips or Herrera in the striker position, especially when Phillips has 4 goal contributions in the last 4 games, is a source of constant intrigue.
He's got 4 goals, 2 assists in the last 7 matches in league play. So it looks, in theory, to be the hot hand, but the tail of the tape is much deeper than the 90 minutes inside the white lines. And so if you look at what has been off the field, which we don't get an opportunity to see, but that man right there, Sebastian Herrera, getting him healthy has been a conversation for really the last 2 seasons for Sacramento Republic. He's been training lights out, and his movements on and in training and on the field have allowed them to open up so many more opportunities for the team as opposed to for the individual. And this is going to be the knock that does send him packing on the night. But an excellent performance. His presence on the second goal for Sacramento Republic tonight. The layoff for Luis Felipe, constant pressure on Kalen Ryden and Talon Maples. His departure 60 minutes in, again, statistically not a representation of his workload, it's injury. But it is also a nice problem to have. A striker that's in form, not necessarily producing a ton of metrics, and another that's laying chase, that's got a ton of goal contributions over the last 5-6 matches.
Eric Quill put it rather succinctly. Sacramento's got wheels, and Phillips certainly has that. It's a different profile, he and Herrera. That ball stripped away. Ross did a lot of the dirty work. Here's Phillips. Fresh into the game, Cicerone. Got the ball. Eventually the ball got Cicerone. Goal kick.
The way the ball squeaks out here, that is a very dangerous but well-timed tackle by Maples on the back line for New Mexico United. Never want to leave your feet if you're a center back, Mike, and certainly not inside the top of your own box. But again, the IQ of the footballer on full display for Talon Maples.
Does end up being a simple throw for Sacramento. Felipe inside, here's Ross. Spotted the run coming off the edge from Gurr. Phillips. Mexico grinds this out, gets it back. Phillips, by the way, I think fans that are unfamiliar are going to enjoy watching him. 9 goals this year. He's acquired from Huddersfield. And as this comes to Vidiello, the same ownership that stewards Sacramento, Kevin Nagel leading the way. I wonder what he's doing here now. Ball through off the right side. Phillips, the target from Ross. Phillips, a pretty horrific injury history, and here he is. Ball lobbed across over Sanchez. He's going to stay and play. Question is who gets there first. It's Sacramento, it's Desmond. The hold up, the push from behind by Hernandez. Sanchez trying to win it back. Swartz got taken out by Desmond.
I wonder if he's hurt before even going into this tackle, and that's a difficult one. Maybe he picked up a cramp, but he turns and comes up pretty lame off of this turn. The reaction very slow for a guy who's got a ton of wheels, and wow, is that a tackle put forth by Lee Desmond? The smell of postseason and possibly of matchups to come put forth by the Irishman.
Being attended to. You and I spoke with Lee Desmond ahead of the game in Oakland earlier this year. I asked him how he would put the season in perspective, and he described that great 11-game run at the outset, and then you lose Rodrigo Lopez, who's the real pulse of this team. Russell Cicerone goes down for an extended period. He said, we know we have the players. We're driven, and we'll be where we need to be at the end of the year. And ultimately, he described no one in Sacramento is aware just how hard we're working to get to that point.
Shane Wheat lost for the season. Desmond himself hurt for a pretty decent stretch. You get the debut of a teenager, Chibi Ukebu, on the back line, who basically was a servant, and a very good one at that, to survive this timeline to try and get everybody healthy. And give him a lot of credit for hanging around, if you will. And that's a pretty interesting dialogue, given the fact that they've maintained relevance atop the Western Conference the entirety of the time. Coming into tonight, this is the first time they have not been in the top 2 since match day 3 of the 2024 season. So lack of form at the 9, injuries throughout the team, the starting 11, the depth, and yet still a Western Conference contender. the hopes that Harry Swartz, that's not a long-term thing. Again, I felt like maybe it was a little bit of a cramp prior to the knock that he just picked up. We asked for energy. Bruce can bring that. No question whatsoever.
Bruce, Vargas, and then Seymour will come in the back. Hurst, Reyes coming out for New Mexico. These are their second, third, and fourth subs. And the only man left on the bench, field player, is Anthony Herbert, the reserve center back. So triple sub for New Mexico to try and return a 3-goal deficit. Rivas. Naples. Rivas. Pitchforks upfield for Vargas. And ultimately, Devin, if you're New Mexico, you're going to play the entire Western Conference playoffs and maybe the final 2 in Albuquerque. So you win 3-1 against Sacramento at home. You come here and fall flat on your face potentially tonight. The reality is still, teams need to go to the lab and find a way to win. And really, that's been borderline impossible historically, doubly so this year.
They've certainly struggled over the past couple of seasons, but the Fortress back once again. Lab at Isotopes Park. Actually, the name is, friendly reminder, a little bit longer than what it used to be. Rio Grande Credit Union Field at Isotopes Park, if I'm not mistaken.
I like the lab.
Yeah, there's a lot of syllables and consonants. Numbers get me. Vowels confuse me.
Kerr. Spelled Kerr. Ball away from Rivas. Hernandez stepping in. And Gurr watches this over the line. Throw for Vargas was acquired right before the roster freeze from Colorado on loan. California native with a couple of call-ups for El Salvador under his belt. Of course, one of the only teams with a better home record this year is Louisville. Still has to fight off a pesky Charleston team. They've not locked up the Players' Shield or the East, of course, just yet. But it look like Lynn Family Stadium will be hosting throughout. Hernandez. Hernandez.
To your point, just the one loss on the season for Louisville City. 39 points through 14 matches. Just set a single season points record in Titletown.
Corner for New Mexico, that's simple for Danny Vitiello. Sacramento team, in theory, built for this occasion, the big one. 13 clean sheets, you know defensively they'll always be in it. Lifted upfield by Cicerone, Jack Gurr gets on his horse. End line, serves it up for Phillips. Bounces back to Felipe, the scorer of many stunners. Slips it ahead, there's Cicerone. Cicerone went for goal, slapped away by Tambakis. Forward for Gurr again. Gurr, Phillips! Let the good times roll for Kieran Phillips and the Sacramento Republic.
give credit here to Jared Timmer because he's just got the smarts. It's little touches, but he's such a high-quality footballer who's got the IQ to recognize he doesn't need to push the tempo right away because Phillips was so deep and Gurr was marked and compressed against the touchline. Instead, picks up possession, quick little touch, then off we go. The quality of Jack Gurr, the precision of Kieran Phillips. Now 5 goals in his last 8 matches for Sacramento Republic.
He missed nearly 2.5 years early in his career to a double knee fracture. It was entirely possible there was no pro career in the cards for Kieran Phillips. And yet, time through the Everton and Huddersfield Academy. Did the transfer over to Sacramento. He now has 10 goals in 23 games. And he slips this back for Cicerone. Upended by Hosu, and this should look rather familiar. Gurr on the cutback. Ross floated up, Cicerone out of room.
And Mike, the lead into the replay on that goal. You can't understate the value of the clean touch and understanding of what is Jared Timmer on that right-hand side. People at home are going to look and go, yeah, he takes one touch and then plays the ball 5 yards. But there are plenty of center backs within this league that would try and hit that first time. Back into the mix, to the outside, but it's not the right moment. And it's his understanding in Mark Briggs' system, the clean touches, the recognition of his environment to slow the game down and allow guys like Chusson Portillo and Jack Gurr to reposition themselves, that gives them the opportunity to push this tempo down in and create the 4th on the night. That's what you get out of Jared Timmer and his cleanliness at the center back spot.
Felipe Akale swerves through traffic. What a remarkable statement tonight by Sacramento Republic. Toronto, Ammon, Neville waiting to enter for Sacramento. Sacramento grabbed the lead in the 6th minute, and they've been exquisite tonight. Whistle goes, foul on Sacramento, subs are coming. Goal in the 6th minute from Russell Cicerone got it going, and the Republic never looked back. And Cicerone will make his way toward the 4th.
The statisticians being a little bit kind with this, but they have credited the goal to Russell Cicerone. Luis Felipe personally thought it was on target. It does come off the shoulder of number 11, and again, said coming in, needed to have a coming out party for Russell Cicerone. While the goal wasn't the prettiest, the performance certainly was. Jack Gurr, curtain call, Pirano in. Trevor Ammon onto the pitch, and an interesting one for me in the loan from Portland Timbers organization, T2 to be specific, and Harvey Neville. English pedigree from Inter Miami to the Pacific Northwest, and the versatility that Mark Briggs now has in a positional player at 4 different positions for the Quails. Wingbacks, a little bit deeper at the center back spot. Versatility, the key talking point for Harvey Neville and Sacramento Republic.
Trailing run toward target by Rivas. There's Neville. Yeah, the ratings in Portland just doubled, I think. Maybe a lot more than that. Got a chance to see a little bit of him at Loudon last year, right?
saw him there. I saw him certainly quite a few times at Inter Miami. If you remember the Open Cup game between them and Birmingham last year.
That was right after the announcement of Messi, but before his arrival.
Correct. You know, it's funny, you referenced the Open Cup final midweek. I joked, I said, was that this week? That is a whole nother stratosphere of universe. Not that far removed from Birmingham Legion and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and what felt like magic in the 23 Open Cup. Hopes that some of that spills over at the end of this 2024 USL Championship domestic season. Pittsburgh getting themselves over the line. Legion, maybe a shot at the top four, maybe. You're more intrigued personally. You and I obviously get an opportunity, luxury really, to see both conferences and have these discussions, but you're more intrigued by the Eastern Conference playoff race? If so, what spot, or the West? Because, to be fair, they're both disasters in the best of ways.
As we discussed on SiriusXM this week, I think the Western Conference is the great pillow fight for 8th. A little deflection here, and eventually Bruce dispossessed.
7 points between 5th and 11th. In the Eastern Conference.
And how about 11th being the team that won the Players' Shield last year, Pittsburgh?
Unreal, unreal. 6 points, to your point, Mike, 6 points between 11th and 7th in the Western Conference. And to be clear, while people may look at the table and think, oh, there's only 4 games left, there's only 5 games left. That's been the conversation for the last 2 months.
Right.
Almost, but not quite.
The reality is the top 8 really hasn't shifted all that much in that span. Don't get me wrong, switchbacks move up to 2nd from sitting 4th, 5th, but
Vegas.
Certainly so.
Yeah.
They've certainly found their form. I do not envy a team that sees them in a 1-4 game potentially in a conference semifinal. That might be biting off a little more than you can chew. Hernandez. Hernandez, the return. Felipe whittle this outside to Ammon. It's over Kale. I think the West is intriguing because I think Phoenix is getting probably too much disrespect within sort of their fan base for what they are. I think there's still a chance they could figure some things out. Enjoyed what Diego Gomez has done. Orange County struggling a little bit. How about San Antonio beneath the line? And then you get to the East and it's this ascendant Pittsburgh team, ascendant Hartford team. Hartford 4 straight clean sheets. I don't think that's ever happened for them.
4 clean sheets in their history before this season. Brendan Burke has a thing or two about getting the job done on both sides of the ball.
Kale snapped away by Phillips. Sacramento on the verge of clinching postseason ticket number 10. Kale rolls into Vidiello. I feel pretty confident that they will, in fact, get the job done tonight. Be noted. But Div, if you look in the Eastern Conference, right, you mentioned how tight it is from 5th to 11th. You've got Indy, Rhode Island, and Birmingham who've got at least 4 points above 8th place. And then you've got 4 teams jostling within 2 points from 8th to 11th. So there's enough time for any of those teams to go catch 7th or 6th or 5th. But the reality is it could be a 4-horse race for that final playoff spot.
I'll tell you right now,
It's not Miami.
it is only about the final playoff spot. None of the 4 teams, respectfully, Loudoun, Hartford, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, are really going to make a run anything above 8th.
Okay.
So we're down to 4-1 in the Eastern Conference. See, to me, the real question is what ends up happening between 4th and 7th. That Tampa Bay Rowdies team a month ago, lock for a top 4 playoff spot. Some would argue the ability to sit pretty comfortably at that 2-3 conversation. Well, now all of a sudden, they're real close to being on the outside looking in. The way that Detroit City's playing, they've jumped up into 3rd. Indy 11, although not great, seem to have picked up a little bit of steam. Only 1 loss in their last 5, 2 wins in that same window.
Well, whipped across. Phillips is there again. Not that time. Only whisper his frustration to the post.
It just seems like any of these balls that have been whipped in tonight have really struggled in terms of overall marking on the backside. Look how high Alan Maples is. Kalen Ryan's not that far off. He's certainly tired, but if he's beat there, if it's not Maples, it's got to be the trailing runner, goal side on the inside, midfielder or not. The final change is made for Eric Quill.
Herbert on for Ryden. Like-for-like change at center back. Herbert off the bench for only the 2nd time this year. The full Trinidad and Tobago international has started 18. Back to Vidiello. The USL Championship is on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches, expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Kale with some made-for-TV moves. Good work from Phillips, and here's Ammon. Don't count Ammon out of this either, right? 9 goals on the season. Proven fruitful when Sacramento was a little bit banged up front. Good step, even better run. It's 1 man against the world. Ammon spending the last 2 years at Northern Colorado. Kale bounces over to Ross. Congratulations, by the way, him and Zayed and the whole NOCO group. First ever Jägermeister Cup final yesterday. The Intra-League Cup for USL League One teams that's been played throughout the season. And the Jaeger Cup, the Jaeger Plate, the Jaeger Dish. I would have thought the trophy would be a cup. Goes to Northern Colorado in penalties over forward Madison.
I told you coming in, out of all due respect, I have a little bit of trouble talking about the competition because the sponsor didn't send in any samples.
Well, that's a you problem.
You know, how are we supposed to promote the product if you're not allowed to partake? Oy vey.
Well, you don't get a shot of glory anymore now, do you? Subs coming, and we mentioned that constant battle for the outside back spot. Alder Sanchez replaced by Damia Villader. Sanchez scored in the 54th minute of this game, helped to break it open, the 3rd for the team.
It's been a fun battle at the left wing back position all season long. Damia Villader and Alder Sanchez. Sanchez a bit more consistent on the year, trying to be the complement to Jack Gart on the right flank, who his assist tonight, ties the league lead with 8. Quality performance by Alder Sanchez, and it's certainly, it's not the worst thing when you've got Lee Desmond laying and waiting over your left shoulder.
He had a couple tackles tonight that made me think Lee Desmond had a little extra in this game.
Made me fully confirm as to why I retired, though.
Yeah. There, trying to whittle his way out, not to be. Right place, right time for Ross now.
And listen, it's an off night for New Mexico, right?
Are you in any way?
No, not concerned at all. It's an off night. You didn't match the energy from the get-go. You gave up space. You didn't come out with any sort of urgency at halftime, and it got away from you. That's the thing that I'm never really keen to jump on, is people's knee-jerk reactions, because this is still a team that sits atop the West for a reason. And it's about consistency, the process, the depth in the roster, the belief in the principles that Eric Quill has instilled in them, that from day one of the 2024 USL Championship season has seen them be a threat atop the West. Yes, they could be a bit more explosive. Certainly, they could concede a little bit less in times, but they're where they are for a reason. You know, can you figure out your difference makers? We alluded to this coming in. Your 11 selection towards postseason time is important. I want to know who are the guys that are going to create that separation for you. When your back's up against the wall, when you need that goal, the game-saving tackle. We know it can be Tambakis. We've seen it from Kalen Ryden. Who within that midfield or front line is going to go get you a result when you're against Colorado Springs or Sacramento Republic?
It was Greg Hurst twice when these teams met, September the 18th. And the reality for Sacramento, they lost the 1 seed the minute they lost that game. If they had won in Albuquerque and they had won this, it would be a 4-point gap with 4 games to go. And even then, Sacramento, it still would have been a long route, but there is a way forward. New Mexico's gonna win the 1, and they've earned it over 30 games. They just have to nurse it over the line over the last 4. And in the end, you're still going to have to go to the lab to find your way to the final in this league. And New Mexico is borderline unbeatable.
Here's the other thing about it as well, is unfortunately for them, given an apocalyptic collapse by Louisville City, the idea that #1 overall, the Players' Shield, is still within reach, that's over and done with.
With this, it's an 8-point gap. Louisville 5 games remaining, and New Mexico 4. You would really need Louisville to drop at least 3 of those games, if not 4, to have a chance, and then you'd have to win all 4 of yours.
With the understanding in the remaining 5 games, Louisville, who in 14 matches this season at home has only lost 1, they have 3 of their remaining 5 at Lynn Family Stadium, including Miami FC. Should be a layup. Sorry, just mathematically, that's how the season worked out this year. 901 FC going to be more difficult, for sure. Phoenix Rising, and that's going to be a bigger battle than what the points tell right now, because of how difficult it is going to be for Phoenix down the stretch to gain those coveted points, get themselves into the postseason play. Again, you got to host the Tampa Bay Rowdies, not an easy one, at Indy 11. San Antonio at Toyota should be a result. If anyone, and again, it's just 2 points, but 2 points so massive right now. If anyone, virtually speaking, has the chance still remaining, it would be the Charleston Battery, and even then.
6 points between them, and Louisville's got a game in hand. I mean, Louisville appears like they're locked in on their first ever Players' Shield. Driving off the right side. Ammon sent that to Oakland. And Ammon's going to need a new shirt. Well, the good news is Ammon's clearly been doing the core workouts. Throw here for Seymour.
Just to cap off the idea of what the postseason could look like. A fun one's for New Mexico United fans down the stretch. Yes, they will eventually be the #1 in the West, no doubt about that. Yes, everybody will have to go to the lab. You know, the thought that maybe they might be able to be the ones who could hoist the Players' Shield. Afterthought at this point in time. The modern era of USL Championship starts in 2011. 8 straight victories for home teams hosting the final.
Kale finding Seymour, and since
3 of the last 4 winners have been on the road. Phoenix last year, Orange County at the Tampa Bay Rowdies in 2021, Real Monarchs in 2019, just so everybody doesn't try and jump on me on math. Apparently I'm going to admit it. 2020, I can't include that because the final never actually took place.
Yeah.
You've waited 5 years for those words to come out of my mouth. And I'm never going to live it down.
Well, I think it's vital to indicate that you've been incepted here, because we have a trophy, a personal trophy. Kale, that's Vidiello, personal trophy that was delivered to us by Lee Cohen, who's now the president of the Battery, from the Rowdies, that indicates that it does in fact exist, that the final did happen, and yet...
It did happen. I was there.
Oh, gosh.
Man, he had a beard. But what I'm getting at, though, is that, again, we said still plenty of opportunities, still plenty of time. New Mexico United, you hit postseason, you handle your business at home, even if you have to go on the road. Recent history states it's not the end of the world, with 3 out of the last 4 winners being road victors.
And the Players' Shield is historically fairly irrelevant to whether or not you win the title in the end. Viader with some burst. Viader roped off by Maples. Seymour. 3 more minutes in this one. Sacramento dusting off their 10th playoff berth in 11 years. Ball laced out of play, and a good chance for us to highlight Lee Desmond and all the things that don't count on the score sheet, but describe just how well Sacramento can end your hope.
Physical brute force, never an issue for Lee Desmond, and what he was able to do tonight to everyone on that left flank. Akale, Vargas, we saw Reyes out there, Harry Schwartz. Let's just say that it was a bad time to be on an island. Lee Desmond says it's my island.
He's the captain now, as he takes the captain's armband following Rodrigo Lopez's midseason injury. This is, frankly, you know, Devin has to give in to the fact that the 2020 final didn't happen, but he did get a center back highlight pack in the middle of a game, which I'm sure for him is a lifelong ambition and dream. Congrats, buddy. Miguel built that just for you.
I'm sure that's exactly what went on.
Here's Desmond, the man after Devin's heart. Tapped away from Rivas. And unable to win it back. Snap header came to Pirano. Did Sacramento tell you anything, Devin, in this game that you did not know coming in?
It wasn't that I did not know. It was the soul searching that has been the last 5 months finally brought forth the desired result, because they have quality on the front line, good midfielders, exceptional defending, top-notch elite level goalkeeping out of Danny Vidiello. This year, Mike, we haven't had the ability to put all of those intangibles together, right? All the assets that are at play for Sacramento Republic have been 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there, regardless of the level of opponent. This is the best result all year. And it's not just because it's against the #1 team in the West. It's because they were complete. You got everything, if you're Mark Briggs, out of your squad tonight. You kept a clean sheet, 4 goals. They were explosive in the final third, abusive on the defensive front, and sent a message to the Western Conference, that although recently it has not been pretty, do not forget what we are capable of, and do not forget that we still have a chance to do something special.
There it is, it's full time. No team has more clean sheets than Sacramento this year. Vidiello keeps another. The attack rolling tonight for the Republic. A 4-0 win that announces they are very much in it to the end this season. They won the West last year. They will hold off the celebration for New Mexico clinching the 1 seed tonight. They move into second place with the victory, and they're only 2 points away, their magic number, from clinching their 10th playoff berth. They won it all in their inaugural season, and Sacramento on the cusp of going back to the playoffs again here in 2024. We'll wrap this one up on the other side of the break. What a night. Cicerone, Felipe, Sanchez, Phillips, and the clean sheet to boot. Sac wins it 4-0.
Excellent counting, buddy.
Sacramento wallop New Mexico 4-0 tonight. And the Republic inch back into second place. New Mexico's party for the #1 seed in the West will have to hold off for another week. Felipe, Sanchez, Cicerone, Phillips, the goals. Let's walk you through all 4. It starts in the 6th minute.
They gave you a little bit of everything. Again, this team is explosive in nature, and at their best, it's transitional moments. They create the corner. They create the separation on the back post. Creates the opening goal. It's all work by Portillo and Luis Felipe. Cicerone gets credit, but they weren't done there. Jared Timmer, what an understanding this is within this system, honestly. He'll get one on the back end of this too, but that quick little touchback to the inside, the patience by Jack Kerr, and the unselfish nature by Herrera up top at the 9. Luis Felipe in the bottom corner, 2-0.
And we go to halftime at 2-0 in favor of Sacramento. Ahead to the 54th minute, and the substitutes and the players who've competed so hard this year to hold on to starting roles saw their moments to shine. First, Sanchez.
More hold-up play here, though, that coming off of it, where Herrera on the quick little touch back in. First time around, sets up Caleb Ryan, and he laid it deep. They found Luis Felipe. This time, drops the shoulder. Sanchez on the follow-up on the back post. And then again, I talked about Jared Timmer in this system. Again, one little touch, here you go. If you play it too soon, you get yourself into trouble. If you wait too long, the window closes. Instead, great touch and allows Jack Gurr to open this run up on the far side. Kieran Phillips laying and waiting. Deft touch into the back of the net. 4 in the night for Sacramento Republic. He has been red hot. 5 goals in his last 8. Sacramento Republic, much needed 3 points up in his second in the Western Conference.
The Republic do not clinch tonight. It's a 13-point gap. Tulsa's got 5 to go in 9th place, but there's your 1-2. And wouldn't you pay a lot of money to see this at the end of November?
Efficient for Sacramento Republic. You would definitely like to run it back. Certainly if you're Eric Quill, a shot at redemption. But efficiency, especially in the final third for the Sacramento Republic team, averaging right around 4 shots on target a game. Nearly doubled that tonight at 7.
This is our final game for USL on ESPN2 this season, but you can go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Plenty of action on ESPN Plus coming your way as the regular season hits the final month. For Devin Kerr and our entire team in Sacramento and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. Cicerone, Felipe, Sanchez, and Phillips the goals. And the team with the best defense in the league drops a 4 spot on New Mexico. Sac over New Mexico, 4-0. Good night.